Okay, cool. So basically, I was talking to Netcracker, and we talked about some of the uh, problem statement. So I will just give a brief for the wider audience because I think Dave was not in our previous call. I have included Dave for the purpose of understanding the rating debate that we are having here. Is we have a usage product, we understand we have a usage, we have a call, I mean, we have a default rate, I mean, we have a certain rate plan. So taking OC as the example, OC has got three rate plans, okay, like basic, pro and standard. Okay, and ideally we need either of the plan to be active, and the way currently it is configured, we don't have the call plan as a product in Velocity. It is more like kind of a characteristics today. I think in the meanwhile Sridhar has joined. Hi Sridhar, thanks for joining. Sridhar represents the Netcracker side of the place. Okay, so hi. So I was just giving a brief about the problem statement. So we have a usage product. We want what currently we have a challenge that call plan is not a product that is fulfilled through Velocity, or it is being not modeled as a product. So call plan is more like a kind of characteristics. What we are trying to understand, what are the options we have to drive the rates. Okay, so when we discussed about it, we got two flavor of issues. Okay, so the first flavor, if I say, if I go back to the mail as well, there are two kind of call plans today. One call plan, if I say for digital voice, the one today that is configured, and Dave can keep me correct, is you have one plan that is the base plan. Okay, and you have another plan that is more like an add-on. Okay, so if we look into the digital voice plan, okay, you have a base plan which covers all the international, which is more like pay as you go. Okay, and you have a add-on as well. Okay, which is more like gives you 60 minutes free. Okay, for local mobile kind of. Okay, now if I look into the rate card, there are two OSCs that are been in place. One OSC for this one. Okay, I will come to the OC part as well because these are two different scenario, like the way it is handled. So one OSC, this is the first OSC. Let's say the name is OSC1, and this is the second OSC. Okay, and Dave can keep me correct. They are not overlapping. Okay, and I have also seen that. I mean, Dave can confirm. It's more like you have it as a base, and this is more like an add-on. It does not cover any of the network values that is covered by OSC1. I mean,
no,
there are
it does. It does.
Yeah.
So the base plan will cover every call scenario.
Everything.
Right.
Yes.
And then what will happen is if you have the add-on, so if you choose that special offer, right, that option will be added as well, but it will have a higher precedence value.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it will be chosen first, and it will price the events that it is configured for, and then anything else will then drop through to the base.
Yeah,
but if you just have the base, that will price those same calls as well at base rates.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to, like, let's say in pay as you go, if I say you have international destination as well, for example, but they don't repeat in your second, this one.
Yeah, if it doesn't apply, yes.
Exactly.
The base is going to cover all bases.
You could, for example, have an international overlay that would, right? So, there's different things you can do. Yeah.
Exactly. But what I mean to say, none of this OSC, I mean, covers every combination. But if I say this is more like the extra bit of
Yes.
enrichment or the extra benefit that you
Overlay.
want to
Yeah.
overlay.
The traditional terminology is the base and the overlay, isn't it?
Exactly.
OSC option.
Yeah, and our rate plans, if I'm correct, has always been done by that because it helps you to manage it better, so that you have an extra bit that is more like the enriching or the benefiting one only being passed in the second rate plan.
Yeah.
Instead of again repeating everything in the base
repeating
and
everything
overriding
again. Yes.
and overriding that. Yeah.
And it also means, right, is if for example you wanted to create like a pricing ladder.
Yeah.
So say you had sort of, commitment type spend, then you could basically say, that you can pick and mix really. So you could say, well, I'm going to commit to spending this much, so I'll pick this particular option. So we have that as well. We have that with sort of commitment type options in NC&B today.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, why I am mentioning this business case, because this business case has an implication on the product modeling as well, which I will come gradually. And I am starting from this part, the reason of getting into the rationale why the product model has been thought like that, like the way we were mentioning last day. Now, if I come to OC has got 3. I will come to OC, and for OC also, Dave, you can keep me correct because I yesterday discussed with Gaurav as well about it. So OC has 3 rate cards. Okay.
Yeah.
And they are mutually exclusive. Like they don't have a concept of overlay. Each of them carries
what we call
everything.
complete options, standalone options.
Complete options. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So here you don't have a concept where there is something as a base rate and I am having something as an add-on. And here also it is one that can be provisioned at a time. Okay.
Yeah.
The difficulty, or my understanding is the difficulty with this option is that in future you always need to bring a complete rate. Even when your network values are repeating.
Yeah.
Okay. As you don't have a default, so the management of it becomes tricky in coming days. When you bring another 4th call plan, let's say for OC, again you will be repeating all the existing network value. You might be enriching only for some of the countries, but still it will repeat again.
Yeah, so you have to hold, complete options in that respect. So it means you're holding a lot more data.
Exactly.
And the maintenance is obviously more if you're going to change a price that's current, that's the same across all the products. You've got to go into every product to change it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that is very much the Geneva model today. We don't sort of have that. Certainly in the version of Geneva we have today, we don't have that overlay option.
Yeah.
So what do you mean you don't have that? I thought base rate options were quite common in Telia.
It is not there. I mean, Dave is right, but it is getting built. I would say because
years ago on Telia there were base rate options.
Oh yeah, there are base rate options, but if you wanted to bespoke, you'd have to build a complete. So you would copy the base rate and then bespoke certain prices. So if you think of products like GSIP, for example, in Phoenix, that's very much what they do.
Okay.
So if we look at this current situation now, like and Sridhar can keep me correct. So sorry.
So just a 2 cents, right, from my side. So sorry, we are just switching over from a before call, and I didn't realize that when this started. So just my 2 cents on this part, that the concept of having an catch-all kind of a rate plan, which is probably capable of rating any permutation of a call from any destination to any destination, any time rate, any possible combination based on event attribute based on which you vary your charging rate currently. You can define one default rate plan which can catch any kind of a call and rate any kind of a call with some kind of a default rate. A standard rate which is available for everybody. Now on top of that, if you want to create a dedicated rate plan for a specific customer and that rate plan only has reduced charging rate for specific combination and is not a complete rate plan in its own, that is also possible, but that comes with a peer product capability, which is the new product model we are already discussing for Avalon right now. So that is the product model impact which Pinak has been talking about. So this is kind of a, you always come along with the standard rate, and then on top of that you can have an add-on rate plan, and this add-on rate plan is associated to a product which can carry a dedicated recurring charge. So you can say that for 5 bits a month, your certain calls to say certain destinations and will be charged maybe 0.1 cents less than the standard rate plan, and you don't really define this rate plan in its all sense. You don't need to put all the combinations in it. You just put that particular combination, and then rating goes in a priority order to say that I have received this call, I will check whether I have a rate defined in the higher priority rate plan. If not, I will go to the next in the chain, and it can keep doing that. It depends on how many plans you have purchased. That is slightly different from the one of the yellow boxes on the screen right now, is where you say that you have an add-on of 60 minutes free. Now, whenever we go, so this earlier part which I described, where you are varying the charging rate but not necessarily giving calls for free, that is a pair product. But where you have a model where you would want to have a standard rate plan, and then on top of that you want to offer certain minutes free to certain destinations or on certain conditions, that is a model of having a rate plan. On top of that you give a discount, which is kind of, could be a 50% discount or could be 100% discount, and that discount can have a threshold on it. And then those discounts have filters, and those filters are the one which allows you to select which calls to discount and which to not. So those that doesn't necessarily needs a pair product model if that is the only add-on which is being sold. But if the add-ons which are being sold are reduced prices for certain combinations, then we need to look at the pair product model the way we are looking at in Avalon right now.
Yeah, I mean, currently there is a use case where 60 minutes, for example, is free, but definitely, as you said, like RTDs and stuff like that can take care of it. But I mean, if I consider a reduced price rate, definitely you will need a additional product. I mean, like the way our conversation has gone so far, and I understand the current default PR product will have the default rate plan. Okay, and if you have to increment and get a new rate card associated on top of it, then it needs to be driven by an additional product. That was something that we have discussed. Now the constraint from the sales is call plan is not a product that gets fulfilled via velocity. Okay, so that is the kind of position
I'd
where
like a
we are in.
clarification here. When you use the word peer product, was that the word you were using? Peer product?
Yeah, it is a product modeling kind, like a product type. Like you define the usage as a
Yeah.
Right. But what does it mean, a peer product? What does that mean? Yeah.
Sridhar, you want to? Yeah.
You may want to take that one offline down because you're.
I was just wondering, because peer I thought was, a product alongside another product.
Satisfy your curiosity offline,
Yeah. I mean, it is ultimately, if you say at a layman term, it is a parent-child kind of. Like here, if I see this peer product, I mean, from velocity perspective, technically it will be a single product. What I understood from Sridhar and Sudeep, you can keep me correct, the call plan will be something internally provisioned. So the default call plan is not something that you expect to be passed in the payload. You can keep me correct here. But if you have something extra as an add-on, or something extra which gives you a reduced price, stuff like that, then you need definitely that product to be provisioned. That is what the way it has been designed so far. And now if I come back to the operator connect and digital voice, both these models are a bit different. But if I take operator connect as the first one, for the sake, we have 3 plans here. 3 plans are bespoke. And they are complete plans. They have all the options. Okay. The other options we were talking last day, that I am having a usage, I am having a dedicated billing tariff name which drives individual rate plans. Okay, but the disadvantage of the plan is like if we go in that model, it might fulfill operator connects need. But if we think in future, it might fall apart for other products where you need a default rating and you need to add the extra benefits as a thin rate plans. Because here you don't have an option of defaulting at all. Okay, so if we, that's where the discussion I want to drive, like you have two options. Okay, this option is not something yet acceptable because call plan is a dedicated product here. But when you don't accept it, you go in this model where you have individual rates. The constraint comes that your rate plan has to be a complete one all the time, like the OC.
And the concern about complete rate plans is their maintenance. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mark, one query I have for digital voice, as we understand that both the rate plans are by default. I mean, it is not that the customer would opt for any one of it. Both are by
if you see
default.
future, exactly. But if
Yeah.
you see future scenario, there could be cases, right? Like where you might need to give the extra bit benefit, but you have to repeat your complete rate plan every time, and you have to add on top of it. Yeah. That's I mean, yeah.
Am I audible, by the way? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think let's not get confused between digital voice and operator connect, because if you look at from the offering perspective, we will always offer two kind of things. One in which we will have a inbuilt rate plan. Let's say I offer something like a digital voice offer one, okay, which has an inbuilt rate plan. Customer cannot deviate from.
Sorry, you're breaking.
It is in combo, and if he is it good now?
And now it is better.
Okay, so I was saying digital voice is a different, constituent in which you have this. You're offering itself. Say that okay, I'm offering you this much for this plan for such tariff. I'm offering you. Customer does not have an option to actually choose any other plan. In DV2, which is the second offering, it will be a different plan. Okay, so that's an offering based plan. Coming to operator connect, we have bespoke plan. Because operator connect is more towards essentially today we are going through the SMB route, but it's more aligned to the corporate side of the business. Okay, so in that case, you will always have bespoke plan. I give an offering operator connect. Now I have variations in my plans. I can offer basic, I can offer some intermediate like that. And to be fair with the business side of PT, they will always have some products. Some will be like DV, some will be like operator connect. Okay, so we can't hold to that. Okay, this is the only path to go forward, like OC or like DV. So that's not going to happen.
I'm just going with the pattern.
Okay, so essentially, Abhishek's asserting that there are two patterns, and that we should be tolerant enough to have two patterns. That's your assertion.
Yes. That's right, David. Yeah.
I will not name that as a product because a DV as a single plan technically, so it is pattern 1, okay, where you have a base plan and you have a reduced call as an add-on, and this is the pattern 2. Simple.
So I mean, this if you look at from the catalog perspective, obviously that has an offer in which you have got within your plan as as one of the characteristics itself. In the second model of OC, plan is like a specs, okay? And I can have a specs number 1 or a spec number 2. If you ask me from the catalog perspective, this is the design difference, technical difference between this. Now, how billing interprets it, okay? Because billing also does have their own, own tariff catalog and own rating catalog. So how billing interprets it, that's what I think we need to, decipher it. How it will be decomposed in the billing area so that the right rating and the right charging goes for the customer.
Yeah.
But does it help if we sign? I think if it is about rate plan and cardinality of rate plan, saying 1 versus 2, and we can't assume it's always 1 sort of thing against the product. Can we send you the rate plan name itself, and can you do something based on that where for OC it will always be 1, and for DV it can be combination of rate plan 1, 2, just 1, just 2, anything like that.
I mean, it is not even about the DV. I mean, it is more about the pattern. So, irrespective, like let's say OC is following pattern 2. Okay. Because it has all the 3 rate cards separately and complete options are there. I'm just trying to understand how I mean, and that looks good. I mean, if we go with option 2 without having, I mean, Sudeep, Sridhar, you can keep me correct. Like this option where you have dedicated product offering, you can definitely have that supported with different rate plans. Okay, but when you say the pattern one, which is more quite famous as well, because definitely it will help you to do a proper management of the rate plans in coming days. If you have a base and you want a reduced rate for certain geographic location, let's say, okay, and you don't want to manage the full rate cards for each of this, then how that pattern is going to survive unless you have a defaulting mechanism, or I mean, that's the question actually.
Okay, you're saying that pattern 2 is unsustainable in the long term.
I mean,
But is it?
Sorry, Darren. Before Sridhar answer, I have one more question added to the one which Pinak is raising. In sense that if at all I don't have a default pattern, okay. If I look at the billing systems around, they also operate in such fashion. They don't keep a rating default pattern, okay. You have a rating synchronization tariff table between your sales catalog, the product catalog, and your billing catalog, okay. And when an order comes with such a certain component ID, it goes into the billing and billing charge based on the rate defined for that component ID. So you don't have to keep always these default rate plans. You can maintain a tariff table within billing, which most of the billing system do, by the way, at least for the postpaid side of the businesses, in which you have to charge on the accrual basis after the bill cycle is completed. So all those patterns does exist very well, and they are well established pattern actually. So Sridhar, I mean, why there is a need of defaulting a pattern in such a rating usage based products? I need to understand that piece also, please.
Yeah. In a peer grouping model, right? Can I share my screen?
Yeah, that will be great.
By the time Sridhar shares the screen, right? So just to answer Abhishek your question, so currently in Avalon, the challenge we have is that we provision a product with a particular product offering and with the product specification, right? That this is the product I want and I want to purchase this product on a particular offering. Now, based on that offering, and it sends it the event source with which it wants to provision. Now, in billing, we have a provision in Avalon right now, which is in live also, is that where just by looking at the product and the offering on which you have purchased the product, we can derive that what rating tariff and what event types, like what services, SMS, MMS, all those things needs to be created in the billing system. All right. Now, in this, you are not explicitly in your order of Salesforce sending billing the information of what rating tariffs you want to buy. You are just telling that I want to purchase this product on this product offering, right? Right, and then
it is like the DV pattern. So it is just like the DV pattern. Yeah.
So in this case, what we are saying is that okay, so this pattern continues to exist. You can very well utilize this pattern in Antilia as well. Now, what we are saying is that in peer grouping products, the reason why the default comes in, that default is also tied to the product offering only. So if you buy a particular peer grouping product on a particular offering ID, then it will have a default peer product which will get associated with it, and that default peer product will bring along with it a complete catch-all rate plan. Now that catch-all rate plan can vary from customer to customer, that is fine, but that will be majorly governed based on the billing product offering ID on which you have purchased the product, which is your peer grouping product. Now on top of that, so essentially when you first build the hierarchy, when you have submitted your first order to provision a particular product, voice service product, and you are saying that this is my offering ID and this is the event source, the billing will derive that okay, since this is your offering, what I will do is for this offering, this is the default product which is configured in billing, and I will go ahead and create this as a default peer product. And I will
just a minute. I'll take. When you say this is a default peer product or default product with that offering, you mean to say I mean just a terminology I'm just trying to understand. Is it the call plan itself or the tariff plan that you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got it. So you're saying product to that. Okay.
Yeah, because the whole idea of that product is because it brings along with it a rate plan. Right, and it can decide you and it can help you decide a rate plan per event type as well. So if you want a rate plan for voice event type, for SMS, MMS, different event types, what are the different rating tariffs you want it to be associated with? So that is the default concept, and that we can derive based on the product offering on which you have purchased the peer grouping product. And as I mentioned, this is for the peer grouping product, and even in the standalone product, even today in Avalon, when Salesforce is submitting an order, they don't tell us what rating tariffs they want explicitly. They don't tell us what event types they want the event source to be for. They just tell us that I'm buying this product on this product offering, and it's up to the billing to derive the rating tariffs based on the offering ID.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so can I just ask a question? What we're calling peer grouping, is that available on the current version of Avalon and Antilia today?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
So
this is what we're talking about with Red Leaf. Basically, there are two options where we've got a simple option, which means more build for you, but if it's a small number, it's probably okay. Versus the more extensible model. Basically, like what the SDP and NCB gives you today, and that's Netcracker's way of emulating what the SDP does.
Okay. So if that is the case, that means a lot. You don't have to hold as much data.
Yeah,
and it's a lot less maintenance, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Would certainly be my preferred way.
Sorry, David. I mean, I'm not very much clear about this maintenance part, because the way Sudeep explained, I see two areas to be of concern, or we should focus on this peer product group model, what he is explaining.
Well, let me tell you, maintenance means price change every year.
Yeah.
Right. Or it means we're adding new network values because Ofcom have come along and asked us to add. So what we're saying is, if Ofcom come along and say, oh, here's a new charge rate.
Yeah.
Right. We have to if you do it in the peer group model, you've only got to add it once.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got complete rate plans, you've got to do it across the lot. Right?
Correct. So I'm also in that understanding, but I just wanted to clear that, because last time when we had on this call, people were debating on this maintenance to be easy in the first pattern, in which you have this plan, associated with the offer, absolutely. At this point I was trying to make it clear that maintenance is more easy in the pattern 2, which is peer group. But in peer group also, I have one basic fact that it may happen the call plan or the product which we are calling here is entirely different for the same offering. So for an example, maybe it's a totally different call plan in terms of its constituents, in terms of its rates, in terms of its tariff, in terms of the services it offers. So in that case, how will the existing default will be changed to this, to the new bespoke plan which we have offered to a customer? That's what I'm trying to understand from Sudeep.
So let me just within believe that this is some modeling which we did for one of our customers, right? So it's a sample structure, and I didn't want it to go into the theoretical parts of peer grouping product, but I think that's need of the hour right now, right? So don't worry too much about the customer account, budget centers, everything over here. Let's start our analysis from peer grouping product, which actually owns the event source and event sources over here. Now a customer comes in, and this becomes your default peer product because this comes with standard conditions. It is a kind of a catch-all rate plan, full rate plan, which is offered to every customer by default. It can rate any combination of a call. Now on top of it, if a customer goes for say a certain call plan in which only rates to Canada and China are defined, then you just create a new new rating tariff only with the combinations which it will rate only for Canada and China. So you just put charging rates for specific network values which points to Canada and China, and you don't need to create anything else. In your configuration, this rating tariff will have a higher priority than this rating tariff. In a similar fashion, you can continue add as many peer products for different combinations.
So you actually adding up the differences as a top up in your base rate plan. That's what you are essentially trying to do.
Yes, any specific rates which you are offering to the customer, and since these are peer products, they can carry a recurring charge, they can carry discounts, they can carry a rating time or billing time discounts, and you can give them different revenue codes. Everything can be done because they are different products eventually, right? Now, so essentially you sell a peer grouping product on a default peer product, and then on top of that you start selling these dedicated peer products which are like better plans for specific countries or better plans for certain special calling rates. These are not complete rate plans altogether. And what rating does is rating just simply comes and says, I want to rate an event for this event source. This event source belongs to this account. This guy has these many rating tariffs. I will need to sort them in a priority order, and if I get a charging rate in a higher priority rate plan, I pick it up. If I don't, I go to the next lower priority rate plan. And right, so eventually, and then but in this case, you have
sorry for interruption, but what I was trying to explain you is to have a modularity in your base default plan itself. You know, what you are doing, that you have a combination of, let's say, 10-20 different attributes, and which you have configured in a base rate plan, and now anything adds up based on that event, because you are taking it as an event, right? And that event you are actually modifying this base plan plus some top up 1, top up 2, or top up 3, and defining the priority. What I was trying to explain you, your base rate plan, which has got, let's say, 10, 15, 20 attributes, let's have those modeled as the attributes, as the right attributes, with some specific reference ID or the component ID, so that whenever any rate plan comes, okay, or in your terminology, any event comes, okay, you have that kind of a capability to model any sort of rate plan out of those 20-25 different attributes. Yeah, so that's what the modularity I was suggesting you. But nevertheless, even if this is there, but I'm not sure, Manoj can comment here, are at least in the operator connect pair, because we are actually right now trying to solve that operator connect issue, does operator connect 3 different plans as on today? I don't know how many different variations there will be in another 5-6 months or years. Today 3 different plans that we have, Manoj, are they really just in a difference of top up, or they have some base difference in the plans, in the call plans? Because if there is a base difference, I think we need to find out a solution from Sudeep and Hidro. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the moment, they are 3 different plans. It has been configured as 3 different plans in Dave's NCDB solution as well, and we are kind of governing them as 3 different plans. Though there are rate similarities, as in some domestic call rates are same for all packages. Some of them are they have exact same number of rows, but then different values for different packages, because some of them are 0, domestic free, international for destination free, so over there reduced charges, etc. But then at the moment they are 3 different rate plans configured on NCDB system in BT.
So one part, like Abhishek, if you see here, it is not having the defaulting rate, but you have similar rates across the 3 plans, which could have been a default rate card, and that would help you to manage the future rates more seamlessly.
Because today the rates are different, right?
Different, but if you break it in this way, you can have, let's say, 70% of that as a default rates. Okay, and 30% might be the variation across the 3 plans. What I mean.
I think that's a really good point, gents, because when we talk about default, right? We're talking about those prices that are governed by Ofcom and have to, like the NGCS, for example. So with NGCS, which is your 084s, your 087s, your 118s and your 009s, those prices, those service charge prices are set by the regulator. Mm-hmm. So you only need to hold them once, right? You don't have to keep repeating them in each plan. Mm-hmm. So and you know, when we sort of talk about default today, there is an option that is always subscribed to business customers, option 664, which holds all of the prices, right? So it's a kind of a default. If we don't subscribe any other option, that customer will always get charged, but at default prices. That sort of functionality, I think, is good because it stops you having like events falling into error.
Yeah. No, I think default itself is not an issue, and I think we all are maybe in agreement that there should be a default, and then we can have a top up or a bespoke rate based on the default config, and that default we can decide that it can be for all number of country and number of international national destination. We can put some rates against it, or we can only put the regulated rates and then everything else is the top up. We can definitely agree pattern on that at the BT level, and we can work with Netcracker on that. I believe our fundamental problem is the kind of product cardinality between this default rate card versus the product itself. So I believe maybe our apprehension is that if you are not reading the product characteristics to select that default, then you are almost forcing creation of different products for us to have the default rate card selection based on that, or else we go with the default rate card of 664, whatever Dave mentioned, and then everything on top of that, then you read the product care, and then you kind of come up with that purple Pierce top up sort of thing that's the default showing. So I believe that's the apprehension. I don't think we are debating about the default concept or the peer grouping concept or any of that. I think the apprehension is more about product versus product characteristics at this stage.
I agree. And that's where I think Sudeep, Sridhar, you have any thoughts? So I mean, the call plan, as at the beginning of the call we discussed, like it's not a kind of product that is defined. So do you see any options of driving it? Now characteristics definitely cannot drive the offering, okay, but one option that we were discussing last day, like if we tweak the offering, so the product offering that you are sending for the usage has some string which tells us like, okay, it is for pro or basic and helps us to route, that we can definitely do. But at the same time, we also want to have the functionalities of PR grouping where we can have some default rate cards that can be set. At the same time, not having the call plan as a child to drive the add-ons. So do we see any opportunity? I mean, too many things to ask, I know, but I think that's where we are trying to understand.
Yeah, but so just to clarify, as far as the dumb question, so basically, Connect, you're saying you want one product to drive a base rate, but the characteristic, a particular characteristic on that product to drive the overlay.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
so the fact that the product there gives the base one, the fact that this characteristic is set to pro drives the overlay.
That's ultimately what you're trying to do. Ultimately, it will be a tariff, separate tariff altogether. Yeah. So basically, the rate plan will be associated with a rating tariff, which eventually connects to a billing tariff. So here, the peer grouping concept that Sudeep explained, like it involves a default call plan to be created. Okay, now this call plan remains hidden. I mean, it does not get exposed to Velocity, neither Velocity need to create it at all. Okay, that will be by default created, which is good. But current logic for any add-ons involves a call plan to be added. Okay.
So those two on the right have to be products. coming
Exactly,
in from.
and that has to come from velocity, and that's where we are trying to understand of the options. Like, because see, there are two part. I mean, if I say this first option, it is a straightforward option, but it comes with the complexity of repeating the
Of
rates. Okay,
repeating complete things, yes.
complete
So,
rates, and where
uh,
you drive it based on the product offering being
yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
BT1 is for basic, this one is for pro, this one is for standard, like that. You have three rate plans associated, but that
Yeah, yeah,
defeats the purpose of defaulting any specific rate as a base rate. So your maintenance in future gets bad.
yeah. I think I understand that issue, but what you're saying basically to avail of this pure product concept of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
default and these other two, you need to
yeah.
actually model
Have the product. Yeah,
two products, and the velocity and two products will have to be sent down
But if
in
you
the.
have to, I mean, if Netcracker has to, model these two as a product, I'm just not able to understand. I mean, how will they, repeat or rather duplicate that or use that default call plan within this or the tariff plan within these products? Because if they are products, then for us they become a pattern which has been followed in digital voice. Because then it's an offer. So then I will offer the customer as, okay, I'm offering you pro. At any given point, he can't select an essential or some other standard offer out of that various offers which we may have for operator connect. Yeah.
So in this case, essentially, when you talk about digital voice, right? I think digital voice is kind of very similar in what is there in Avalon, what we have discussed, right, Pinak? So in digital voice, essentially, what we are saying is that in future we don't want Pro to be a complete rate plan altogether, right? So when you always provision any any voice service with a basic rate plan, which is your catch-all, and then when you do a Pro, then the ideal situation will be you keep your call plan one, which is the product which is holding the basic rate plan active, and on top of that you create another product which remains active along with basic, which has pro rate plan, which has just the pricing defined for the combinations which you want to have reduced charging rate for. So in that model, it makes sense. But if you switch a model and say that every time you buy a Pro, I want to terminate basic and I don't, and I want to activate Pro, and at any given point only one of these products will be active, then in pair product, the entire notion where you could have multiple rating tariff and you could do prioritized rating goes away.
Yeah. Then you can have a simplified way.
Sorry. One thing which I'll clarify is that depends on what exactly you are configuring in that catch-all or default rate card, correct? So the example that Dave Norfolk gave is that if I'm configuring my regulated prices only in that default rate card for product A, then anyways your call plan 2, call plan standard, whatever is written over here, will contain all the customer facing rates in their override call plan anyways, correct? So they will not require you to terminate that call plan 1 or basic or catch-all rate card anyways, correct? So I think we can govern it in that way, and we can work with you to define that. So I don't think we are putting that requirement, Sudhir, that we will terminate the default or catch-all rate card. If you put a guardrail for us, then we can define the catch-all rate card in a way that it need not to terminate when we are applying the top-up.
But do you mean like complementary, and that there's no such thing as one underneath another? All those two call plan standard, call plan pro, they cover whatever rates, whatever network values they cover. But then alongside them, right, complementary to what they address, there's all these other numbers in this other thing.
Yeah.
And there's no layers as such. They're complementary.
That is basically what happens internal to Netcracker, because the data model, you will end up with a product that has your event sources on it, and that product will have a down tariff, and that will point to a default rating plan. What we're saying is that rating plan A, we'll call it, it'll have the full superset of all of the prices, and then if we create the overlay plans, they get linked to different products.
Yeah.
And they only have the subset of the things that
I
you want to
understand
differ.
that concept, but the argument that was advanced there seemed to be one that is unnecessary. That's what I heard. I'm having trouble following this conversation because it seems coming back around to the same point all the time about bases and overlays. But the issue seems to be more around that we seem to have decided that we do want base and we do want overlay, but then somebody was suggesting, well, we don't really need base, or it's very confusing to follow.
I mean, I think ultimately you might need base X over the time, because for the proper maintenance of the rate cards, you need to have a base and you need to have that logic. But the main argument where I think it's coming is like, if you want to have this model, you need to have the overlay to be driven by a call plan product, and product is not something we have at this point modeled for any call plan.
Absolutely. So I think the argument is not option 2 or option 3. I think maybe from BT's point of view, both workable. Option 3 is more maintainable. Last 20 minutes we talked about it and we are okay with that as well. I think the argument is that overlay call plan, overlay rate plan can't be based on the product of its own, LPS, CFS, whatever. It can't be products on its own. It is one of the product characteristics of original offer. How we can drive the selection of that overlay rate plan based on the product characteristics is the thing. And if
that makes the assumption that the velocity model is done and dusted and set in stone, right? That you couldn't model call plans up there. That is perfectly reasonable that velocity could have 2 call plan products, or 3, pro, standard, and basic. You know, I hear this assumption that somehow the velocity thing cannot be changed. It's just characteristics, and that's it.
Aaron, that's an option, but that's not going to be manageable in velocity. You know, then what will end up is, for any new rate plan, whichever comes, I mean, business may come with 10, 20, 100,000 different rate plans, considering it will be a offering for the CPS stream of customers. We will end up creating that many offers as well, along with the price plan. So the whole modularity.
But you'll end up creating that many things in billing.
From your experience over 30 years.
So that's what I'm saying. No, I mean, that's the reason. You know, I proposed a model which is pretty much modular for billing in terms to configure those attributes as
but your proposed model was something that certainly I couldn't understand, and it didn't sound as if Sudeep and Co could understand it either. Right, so I don't know if it's an option 4, maybe, but it certainly I couldn't follow it.
No, that's not an option, because that will lead up to a lot of product level changes, which I'm not recommending. I'm saying that could be one of the way if Netcracker could have supported that model. But anyway, I think we hardly have got some few minutes. Probably if Sudeep and Sridhar, with their understanding of this whole problem, can comment on this whole situation that we have today.
I would probably add the product into velocity. That's probably what the solution I would go with. It sounds easier to me than all of these others.
That's where we got to consumer.
That's not the way OT is going to be sold, So the reason for that, Darren, is that's not the way it is being sold and positioned in the market. That's the way digital voice has been positioned, by the way. Because the digital voice, you say, okay, I'm selling you digital voice essential. Here, the sales pitch is, I'm selling you Operator Connect. You come on my website, select your plan, whichever suits to you. It's all bespoke, and then we move forward. So there's a whole difference.
That doesn't make much difference, because a characteristic is just a different way of a product is just a different way of representing a characteristic. And on a website, you can just choose the product. It's the same as choosing a characteristic. It doesn't make any difference that's just technicality.
It's not the technicality, it's the tangible versus intangible products that we are selling. And I think purely from the SIT model point of view, the tangible product that I am selling is the Operator Connect for Microsoft Teams. Okay, and these are the product features. And I think someone mentioned that yesterday, if I remember correctly, that across basic, standard, and pro, and that's the case with DV as well, essential, enhance, etc. there are no product characteristics difference, as in I don't have like 40 characteristics for A versus 40
Of course
45
there's not.
characteristics.
I know that. I know all that. I'm not
Yeah, so
into this stuff. But that doesn't mean, just because you have no, doesn't mean that it's not more convenient for everybody just to model them as 3 child products with the cardinality of that you have to have one or the other or the other. That doesn't, technically, what difference does that make? It's just,
Well,
it's just another way of doing
Darren,
it.
I have not seen rate plans to be configured as product in any other area.
Well,
This
just
is
because you haven't
very
seen
new
it
to me at least.
doesn't mean that it's
and
not the
even
easiest
if we
option.
refer to the SID model, I mean that also clearly specifies that rate plan should not be configured. I mean, a lot of people in commercial in consumer area and B2C areas, they do so because the number of offers are pretty much on the finger count. When it comes to the business, the business area, obviously you have loads and loads of offers which are all bespoke in nature and which are all customized to the customer.
Okay, but I thought Operator Connect only had 3. I thought Operator Connect only had 3. I thought it was only 3 here we're talking.
no, we are not talking about one product and over here, but we are talking about in general. Yeah.
The concept in general, and today it is 3. Tomorrow I don't know how many it will happen more. Today how many customers we have for OC right now. So there's a whole lot of statics. Yeah.
I will
Sorry.
give some options to Netcracker as well. Like Sudeep, Sridhar, you have any thoughts about this problem? Anything you feel that can help to mitigate, or any other simpler way, a middle way?
Right. So I will not comment on the kind of a notion where you have certain rating tariffs configured in the system, and without some kind of a configuration linking them, and you receive an event from a mediation for a particular event source, you need some config to tell that there are a set of predefined rating tariffs which the subscriber is subscribed to either directly or indirectly. Now, directly means you buy a certain set of peer products, or you take a default one and then you do some add-ons. You have those set of peer products which are giving you an option of rating tariffs which are available to rate this event. Another alternate is that during the configuration of your rating catalog, you create a base rating tariff and then you create supplementary rating tariffs on top of it, which are not directly subscribed, but they are linked as a chain to the base rating tariff. And then you can have a predicate on top of those rating tariffs to decide whether that rating tariff is eligible or not for rating. And that predicate can be based on certain attribute. It can be customer, account, product, whatever it is, right? But again, that list needs to be configured. It has to be it needs to be predefined, if I may say, right? That because when you receive an event on the fly, you cannot go with the notion that all the rating tariffs in the system are eligible to rate this event, even though not directly subscribed by the customer, and you just evaluate based on certain attributes that which one do you want to pick up. There has to be linkage. So based on the product offering becomes a very key thing over here, that based on the product offering on which you are buying the product, which will come from the sales force, you decide along with this product offering, what is my default peer product or what is my rating tariff which is coming along with it. As I mentioned earlier in the call, right, there are 2 options. Even with standalone, you can say that for this particular product on this product offering, these are the set of default rating tariffs, or you can define the set of default peer product. But again, what are we doing? By either of these combination, you are telling that these are the rating tariffs which are eligible to rate an event for that particular event source. And behind the scenes, through the config, you can link supplementary rate plans on top of it. But again, it is a configuration which has to be done where you identify beforehand that for this base rate tariff, these are the supplementary rate tariffs which needs to be created as a chain, and then you can create predicate on top of it. So there are certain ways to do it. We need to understand maybe the requirement of this product characteristic based rating, which without a need for an explicit association of rating tariff, a bit more detail, but this is what I can comment on a high level, and then we can explore the requirement more. But the basic understanding has that product and product offering will derive what rating tariffs can be utilized to rate an event for that event source, and then based on that and those are the only set which will be always evaluated by rating engine to decide whether if one or more rating tariffs needs to be evaluated in a priority order or in a chain order through supplementary rate plans.
And sort of how the supplementary. Yeah, sorry.
No, so maybe you're asking the same question, Vinay. So
that is the method which we follow in the normal rating tariffs usage as well, right? We create 3 rating tariffs attached to the default rate plan. Supplementary and the base. The base rate will be the major base rate, and we create supplementary rating tariffs on top of it, and then based on the and we only have a default one rate plan which is attached with the product, but the 3 tariffs will be attached with that rate plan.
As supplementary,
As supplementary, right?
As supplementary behind the scenes. So essentially, it's like it's a very configuration thing, right? But what I'm saying is that again is a list which is controlled through configuration. You cannot say that since my product attribute was XYZ, you go ahead and evaluate some other rate plan altogether. It is still controlled by the product offering on which you have purchased the product, right? Because that product offering is bringing you a rating tariff. That rating tariff can have supplementary tariff, and at the rating tariff level itself, you can have certain predicates to tell whether the rating tariff as such qualifies to be applied to the event or not. And that predicate, as I mentioned, it's just a combination of conditions. You can create and or tree and create a fancy predicate over there which decides whether the rating tariff is eligible or not.
And that config table applies to the base plan, product offer, where exactly that config will be mapped?
That configuration is the rating catalog configuration, where you decide that this rating tariff which will have rating tariff B as a supplementary.
Okay.
That's a rating catalog configuration. Yeah.
So instead of peer group, you creating it as a supplementary, is it? Sudip?
Yes, but again, the peer grouping products are subscribed, right? You need to purchase them explicitly because they bring the add-on rate. Supplementary rate plans are configuration driven. At the rating catalog definition itself, you decide that this X rate plan is a supplementary of this rate plan. So when I sell the base, by default as a chain, this will get associated. And if there are no conditions which are controlling it, and if both gets applied to the event, they both will charge the event. So you will get.
But how will you what I say, segregate? Because in the offer or in the product which will come from in the API, that may not explicitly tell you that which default product it belongs to. I mean that will come you as a complete plan. Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the implementation.
So what Pinnacle is, supplementary rating tariff is associated to the rating plan at the rating catalog level. You don't subscribe to a supplementary tariff. You buy a product on a product offering. That product offering helps you decide what rating tariff is eligible, and in the configuration, if that rating tariff has an further supplementary rating tariff, that gets applied during the rating time. You don't explicitly subscribe to it.
Okay,
and that you can need to be that supplementary design will need to be used for your NGCS type calls, because there's 2 parts of the call, which is your service charge and your access charge. So where that is supported in some other products we've got in Geneva today, we use a supplementary to drive the service charge. And we attach it to the main rate plan, which drives the access charge. That's how we split the prices today in Geneva for that type of call.
Yeah, but how do we activate it is something I'm still trying to understand. So you said like it has to be something within the event, some predicates will drive that, because here
if you don't have any condition, so by default assume you don't have any predicates on the rate RT3 and the supplementary rating tariff with it. When an event comes in, it will rate it with RT3, whatever combination is whatever charging rate is existing for that combination, for that geographic combination in RT3, it will see that it has a supplementary rating tariff. It will go to supplementary rating tariff, find a combination in supplementary rating tariff for the same geographical combination, for example. It will find another charging rate, it will apply that charging rate as well, and then depending on the configuration, if you have enabled fragmentation, rating will output two separate records in the costed event table, one belonging to the charging rate, one which it has charge using RT3, one which it has charge using supplementary rate tariff. So you will see two separate records over there. If you don't enable fragmentation, then you have certain attributes which you can output to the costed event record, which can say that what was the charging rate contributed by RT3, what was the charging rate contributed by supplementary rating tariff to come up the overall event cost money.
Yeah. But I mean, in our case, like if we take the example here, like the plans that are being selected, they are. I mean, from the network side, from the mediation side, the data that flows, technically, that data will not have anything to recognize it as a plan, whether it's a standard, basic, or a pro. Technically, it is
correctly.
something.
So from network side, you'd never do that, right? From network side, you only always receive event source, which is your primary thing, which allows you to guide it to a specific account, which will pay for this event, right? So once you have done that guiding, you identify in billing that what are the eligible set of rating tariffs with which I can rate this particular event which I have received. Now, once you have done that, you will identify that RT3 is one of the valid rating tariff using which I can rate this usage which I have received from mediation. You go to RT3, you check whether there are any predicates on RT3. If there are no predicates, you use it. And then you check RT3 whether it has supplementary, you go to supplementary and check again whether you have any predicates which prevent it to be used. If there are no predicates, you have the combination defined, it will use it. So from a network side, you don't control it. Network will only send you event source, right? And then depending on what you have subscribed it to, that is what decides what rating tariff you, again I say, right, it's a product and product offering. Currently in Avalon, and as well as I think in Antilia, the similar model will continue where you buy a product on a product offering, you just pass the event source, and then you will, based on your configuration, you decide that what is a default rating tariff, which is a rating tariff which could be used to rate a voice call, for example, right?
Yeah, but I'm still trying to understand. Like, I mean, here the rates are going to be different. The network values are going to be same, if I say. So I'm expecting that there is no predicate in our CDR or any data in the CDR that helps me to recognize what rating tariff I should point to. You are getting so.
Sorry, but
Does the predicate have to be an event attribute, or can it be a product attribute, kind of attribute, customer attribute?
Yeah.
The predicate at the rating tariff level, Tim?
Or supplementary, so to decide which supplementaries come into play and which don't, can it be based on product attribute, account attribute, customer attribute?
I can confirm that for you. From top of my head, I think it allows all attributes, but I can confirm that.
Yeah, because if it is event, then we will not have any way to recognize that. So if it is product,
did you say no?
I think predicates are part of the event and binding, rate plan binding. Is that so?
No, the predicates which are created at the rating tariff level.
Okay, at the rating tariff level. Okay.
Yeah, because in this case we are talking about predicate which controls the decision whether the rate should consider the rating tariff or not, which is in the supplementary rate plan chain.
Rate plan. Okay. Yeah.
Because what we would be saying here is build a default plan with all. We'll need a supplementary tariff without predicate for NDCS access charge, and then another set of supplementaries for a number of overlay scenarios, and the overlay scenarios, that whether those supplementaries come into play or not, based on product attribute runtime, most likely.
Yep. It can only be runtime, yeah.
I thought I heard Streeter saying no, and you were saying no check, so maybe that is something we just check offline to see what the predicates can be, and what the performance of the rate in or the active rate engine is with that build. Like if that spans too wide, what's the impact on the rating engine? I guess it's the supplementaries is still the subset of the superset, yeah. Have I understood supplementaries right, Streeter? This is subset of the superset. The superset being the default rate plan.
Yeah, it's not really a subset. It's just an extension to it, right? So you just add it as a chain of it, so you can.
I would say I have a default rating plan that has 10 rate elements, and I create a supplementary tariff that has 2 rate elements, but it's the same rate elements, just different prices that are in the default. The precedence order, I guess, is based on.
In this case, there is no precedence. In this case, there's no precedence order. Yeah, so there's no precedence order. They both will apply.
What it contains is. Go ahead, sorry. Yes, sir.
No, please. I think we both are saying the same thing. In this case, if the same combination is defined in both the plans, the call will be rated twice. So it's a supplementary cost on top of an event, right? It's not really either or.
To make that,
if you wanted to basically rate an event in multi-dimension, okay. For example, in case of Avalon, we have access charge and a service charge. So for one given event, you wanted to charge that in 2 dimensions, right? So in this case, what we did is we modeled access charges in a main rate plan and the service charge in a supplementary rate plan that will be invisible for everyone, and it will be available only in the catalog. So essentially, whenever there is an event that is rated, the main rate plan will obviously qualify, and it will be rated. The access charge will be calculated and rated there. And subsequently, because of the fact that it has a supplementary rate plan, it slips down to the supplementary rate plan, and it will be rated with a dimension of the supplementary rate plan as well. So that essentially means 2 charges are calculated, and they both, whether they should be merged or not, is a different configuration altogether. So likewise, you can have n number of supplementary rate plans, and there isn't any known limit at this point. Okay. So what Sudeep is saying is, by default, if you do not leverage the predicates, if you define, say, for example, 10 supplementary rate plans for one main rate plan, all the 11 charges will be calculated. Okay. So that's the very functionality of the supplementary rate plan. So what we got to do is play with the predicate and qualify a particular supplementary rate plan.
Yeah, and the only way for it to actually be an option for what the guys are trying to solve, the problem the guys are trying to solve, essentially from a rating management perspective, the default rate plan would just have the things that rarely change or are always common, like the stuff that's Ofcom regulated. And then for every variant of difference, you would have to have a supplementary rating tariff, and you'd end up needing you wouldn't want to have any duplicates, basically. And you'd have to have them all predicate based. It'd be pretty hard to manage, I think, Dave, from a rate build, but I'll let you comment.
Yeah, it is, and the other thing as well, I mean, if we're talking about supplementary, a supplementary plan in Geneva, which you add on to the standard rate plan, you have to make sure that every cost band that you've got in the main rate plan is also configured in the supplementary. So you're kind of doubling up on the data. We have to do that for NGCS at the moment, Tim. So what would mean there is that in the supplementary you'd have the service charges, and then for every other call type it will be set to 0. And then in the main rate plan you have the prices for everything, including the access charge. So it's a big old build.
Yeah, but if the call plan started out at 3, and then the 100 or the 200, basically your team wouldn't be able to serve more than 10, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what the plan is, because, you know, we support a lot of business products today. You know, we've probably got, I would say, well over 100 off-switch charging options supporting business today. It depends whether the plan is to take those forward or condense it down. You know, without seeing what the strategy is, it's difficult to say how difficult it would be in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think sorry, Tim.
No, I was just going to say that use the supplementary rating tariffs. I think that would be just a nightmare to build the manage.
Yeah.
Because everything has to be complete in its own sense. Yeah. And every time you change base, you have to make sure you copy it across all supplementaries.
Yeah, if you end up with 100, 200 supplementaries.
So Sudeep, will that not bring us to the option 2, which Pinak was, stated in his yellow box page? Yeah.
And that's the whole beauty of peer product, right? That you just have just streamlining the way you manage your configuration of peer products. Right? It's just
I think that is option like the peer product is this one. I think, but peer product has a complexity of having a call plan as a product. Yeah. This call plan has to be there. Now, I mean, I don't know if it is possible. I should throw it at all or not. And this is something I was asking yesterday to Sridhar and Gopi as well. Is there any way to drive the call plan based on a product offering? Like if I define one offering to be a default one that drives the base plan, the default plan. So I don't know. I mean, there could be complexity, but this is just an open question. Do you foresee any opportunity where I can drive the second call plan, which is more like the add-on kind of thing?
Based on the product offering? Based on the product offering, we can consider, not based on the product attribute, because product attributes vary for implementation to implementation.
I agree.
Right? Yeah, so
I don't feel that is good thing. Product offering, even that can be tweaked.
So that we can consider, right, Pinak? So you are essentially asking us to extend the framework which we have to decide that for a particular product and product offering, what is a default peer product. You are asking us to say that for a particular product offering, help us to decide two peer products which gets created at one time.
Yeah. So one peer product remains as your default plan. The other one may be the add-on if they are provisioned. So in that way, it gives you an opportunity to exploit the beauty of peer product with the default plan. At the same time, it reduces the complexity to drive a separate product as a call plan, and we bring it against one product.
Please help me understand in this scenario what you are saying. I mean, if you look at from the details which from the ordering system or from velocity which we will give it to the billing engine, in that case, we will send the same product offering, okay?
I know the terminology difference. So for you, product offering is the same product. When we are talking of product offering, we are actually talking about the billing tariff. Okay. So from your side,
the one which you explained yesterday about billing tariff. Okay, got it. Yeah. So for
I know. So at your side, the product remains same. So you will, in our 637, there are two tags: product specification and product offering. So specification is mainly the product that remains same. The offering gets tweaked here. So one offering could be for the default one, and another offering may be for the add-on one, but ultimately it still keeps one product at a time for velocity. So maybe the offering can be translated based on the characteristics at the velocity side. Okay. but I don't know whether it is the right way. But I'm just trying to propose it and trying to get Sudeep's idea and team, because you guys are more close to the rating work that has been progressing. But is it something you see as an option that can be a middle path? Because the reason why I'm saying, because we have to, I mean, at this point, as Netcracker rating is not there, we still have the NCDB, so we still drives it through the OSC. I mean, we will have it through the net. I mean, it is HDB that we use today, so it will still be driven through OSCs. So ultimately, then we have to build a logic that based on the tariff being different, we will drive the different OSCs as well.
Yeah. So you need to still change your product offerings on which you
Yeah,
are
we will need to
subscribing to
change.
product on.
So, I mean, instead of OSC being at the product definition, we will make it more dynamic to drive it against the offering. We will need some tweak in our chain, some work, but that is something I think quite
We
achievable.
can consider that, Pinak.
Yeah.
On behalf of Sridhar also, I can say that yes, we can consider it. I think
Yeah.
we will evaluate that, and we can. So essentially, your ask is that instead of allowing you to have only one pair product which comes as a default with a product and a product offering combination, allow the extension to that configuration in billing, where you can say that for a particular, if you take a voice PGP, voice peer grouping product on a particular offering, then along with that, these are my default or kind of a standard set of peer product which should always be associated with it without an explicit need of an order to create them.
Yeah. I mean, we will instantiate another instance maybe with a different offer internally that can invoke the additional call plan, maybe as an internal product to drive the different rate plan altogether. Yeah.
So does it require any changes on the Salesforce side?
Sorry, where you're saying? Sorry, missed it.
On the Salesforce catalog perspective side, do you see any
Salesforce? I mean, the product offering has to be tweaked. But I mean, I would take to. I would like to have Team's view as well. Team, do you think that is something? What do you feel?
So internally, we're expecting NRM to generate the peer product and essentially give us the peer product functionality.
Yeah.
Given peer products can't have giant products in that in simpler change, I don't know how achievable that is, but Steve Sridhar closer to the product.
Yeah.
Sounds like it needs taken away in discovery.
Yeah. So Sudeep mentioned
that's something which we still need some time to complete our analysis on. That's one story, and the second story is we are this particular story in which we also have for Avalon, right, where we were considering a change to extend our default call plan model to accommodate peer products, and saying that if you subscribe a product on us offering, you get this peer product by default. Now what Pinak is saying, that you extend that to beyond one and say that allow you to tell that these are the set of peer products which can be subscribed by default. So that extension is achievable and can be done, and we can evaluate that. In terms of whether the peer products can have child or not, that's something we would need a few more days to complete our analysis and get back to you on how big of a change it is.
But Sudeep, I'm a little bit concerned when you say that. Pinak said it requires a sort of tweaking in the offering which has been defined on the sales catalog side.
Yeah,
so what does that tweaking means actually?
Tweaking, basically this is more for the tariff name. So when the product offering, like as a tag, not the actual product offering entity, for the TMS 637 comes to us at BMS. Basically, we might be defining, let's say, this BT1. Just it is more like tweaking of the string in a way, so that we can recognize, because characteristics does not help us to recognize the rate plan. So what we are saying, like let's say BT1 underscore basic underscore standard is our let's say the name for the first. We have BT1.
So got it. So Manoj, I think what here I'm hearing that we tell that as OC, we select that as a as a sort of basic or pro whatever, and when we send this in 637, that time we at runtime we change that string name, right, Pinak? Is that what you are saying?
But where, as in product specification name?
No,
Is it
offering. So
which
specification
offering?
is your
The
product.
base offer or
No,
voice subscription
so if
offer,
we,
usage
no,
offer?
no. So usage is a separate product altogether, right? Like the number block you have, right? So the number block, while you provision the number block, you are passing the event source and all the stuffs. So at that time, you are going to tweak the um, product offering tag of 637 to drive that logic. So it is a characteristics although, but in the runtime it should translate to a product offering because that product offering in 637 drives our billing tariff.
Let's work through that. But then you are asking us to change the base offer, which is Operator Connect for Microsoft Teams.
I think it is already getting translated. Like the product offering that you said, some encode underscore standard today, that is already a out of box value that is being sent by Salesforce. It is already a tweaked value. It is not something that you inherit from somewhere.
No, that is inherited from the configuration table, Pinak. It may not be inherited from the view which customer is getting on the screen, but it is definitely getting inherited from the config table. Yeah. But let us see. I think let us give it a thought and let us see through what tweaking that you are basically you are trying to say to not to change on the presentation layer, but within the interface when we sending. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, see, at the end, it is the same product. It is just the offering changes for you. I mean, this is again like Sudeep will come back. We might need another call for conclusion. Definitely, I will keep one. But meanwhile, that is something also to be understood. Like, and I think that tweaking is something already Velocity is doing for certain cases even because Velocity already has a logic to form the product offering based on the root where the root is present and inherit the root encode underscore root vcode underscore.
Okay, so
the
I think Pinak, already we crossed almost an hour and a half, I think, and so as I think as a next step probably we will see how this tweaking affects in terms of the Velocity interface and in terms of the the overall config and what we have done. And parallelly, I think you and Sudeep may check on that side of the piece in which you may come up with this, this possibility of having. I mean, at least if we can have such kind of a extension and can do so things. Right.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll set up a call for tomorrow. I think Pinak, you set up another call with Netcracker colleagues. So that we can conclude and we understand what are the options.
Yeah, we'll give some time to them. I will ask Sudeep as well how much time they need.
But let's have a date, Pinak. I mean, when can we reconvene? Actually, today is Thursday night.
Maybe at least Tuesday. I think we need to give 2 days to working days. But Sridhar can comment like how much time they need. Sudeep has dropped off, but how much time they will take. So.
Yeah, certainly need a couple of days at least.
Yeah. So I mean, we will get back with the date, Abhishek. We'll try to get that earliest arranged. Yeah.
Okay. We are through on that. The urgency, what we have from the from the business side and from the all the state account. Yeah.
No, I agree.
We are just trying to close it. Yeah. I know you have been like already you're also pushing up and give it a best shot. But yeah, let's see how best we can do. Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks all for joining. Sorry for the overrun, but it was good.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.